Welcome back to another episode of Spiritual Teachers Podcast. With me today is Simeon Astoria, calling in from Texas. Simeon is a spiritual wellness guide and someone who continues to walk the path. So it's a real honor to have you on today, Simeon. Welcome on.
I appreciate it. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come here and share my story, some experience I've gone through, and just continue spreading some light in a world that's full of, some dark and light, but that's what we're here for. So appreciate you for having me.
Of course, man. Of course. I'm excited for our episode today. We're going to talk about spiritual ego and falling back into old patterns, how to stay connected with the higher self, what doing the work actually looks like, and how to shift frequency back into alignment. So, yeah, we got some really awesome topics to talk about, and I'd love to invite you to share kind of how your awakening journey started for you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. For many people, we had to go through a process of some pain. Mine came down to 2019. I looked in the mirror. I didn't recognize myself, didn't see that vibrant young man I once saw that was full of life. And I didn't know what was happening. Tears started flowing down my eye. And I'm like, what's happening here? The last time I cried was over a decade before then. My grandma passed away. So
Oh,
you're talking
wow.
pent up anger, frustration, resent, everything was just holding on. So it started leaking out by itself.
Hmm.
At that time, I sat across the couch from my previous partner and shared with her, like, hey, I feel like I'm dying on the inside. I feel like I'm dead. And unfortunately, it seemed like it went through one ear and out the other because everything we were doing that was causing that, it was still happening. And it was,
Mm.
if you have someone that so-called care for you and you're sharing, like, hey, I feel like I'm dying inside, and there's no change, there's nothing that's like, hey, how can I help? Then there's a problem there. So then it started leading me to contemplation of my suicide. Then
Hmm.
it got to the point of me planning my suicide. Fortunately, I had some friends who had helped me. Shout out to Mary Jane Gardening Club that's out in Cali. Some cannabis has helped me see who I was and sit still within myself and start
Hmm.
breaking that apart to where I experienced an out of body experience and started feeling all the suffering. I was just crying again. This is another day, crying like, what is happening? What's going on? Out of control. Feeling all the emotions, feeling all the feels, and the suffering of not just myself, but the suffering of my family, the suffering I put people through. And it's like, man, this is a lot. So I started working on myself, spirit emotions. I dropped like 60 plus pounds. I was stressed out, overweight, depressed. I used to have sharp pains in my chest. They used to like if they hit, is either I would grip something so tight or I drop it. That's how bad it was. And didn't realize, I think I've talked to you this recently. I didn't realize I was out of shape until I got into shape.
Right,
So
right.
once I started taking care of the temple, I was like, oh, okay. And then just continue to start doing a spiritual journey. I've done plant-based medicine, Mother Aya, the cannabis, as I mentioned. So it's been helping me tremendously. But now what I do is I integrate the work within myself and then also pass it on to other people who are ready to actually do that work. So
Hmm.
yeah, appreciate
So I'm curious, as you were sharing those heart pains, the was it related to something? Was it when you were in a trigger, or when would they, did you notice when they would arise at that time?
Wow, so I didn't notice when it would automatically happen, but of course it was some high stress. I was in real estate at the time, so it's like deal after deal after deal, and I was just in a high stress space, and I was so disconnected from myself, like who
Hmm.
I truly am today. Like right now, you're seeing the calm version and everything. Before it's like, no, I gotta go, 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 go.
Right.
So it was just more so I was carrying so much, and there's a baggage and trauma, and like I said, it took me over a decade to cry. Like that's not normal. And
No.
because society teaches that, it's like you got to be tough. Vulnerability is weakness. So society teaches that. So we carry it. So when that started shedding out, it just felt like the teapot, the pressure was filled up and it was just steaming the entire time. And finally, everything said goodbye, let go of this pressure. You're about to cry it out. I was like, what? So I wouldn't say something specific that I noticed. It was something that was a specific moment. I think it's more so backed up trauma, me not expressing my emotions or allowing myself to feel the emotions. And then also I was just not taking care of myself. I was battling sex addiction, I was battling alcohol addiction, and I had to work my way through this.
Yeah.
So it was a combination of things stacked on top of each other to where I was numbing my true version of myself.
Hmm. So with the marijuana that you mentioned, with the shout out you made, right? Was it a sacred ceremony? Did you guys meet up to connect like in a sacred space, or what did that look like?
So no, so she would make like capsules. So
Oh,
the
okay.
person, yeah, she would make capsules and everything because she would grow it for her, I guess, clients and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
she'll make capsules and she'll give you specifically what you're doing. So she helps people when it comes down to cancers, helps people when it comes down to anxiety, anything of that sort. And she was someone in my community would say like, Simeon, you Mr. Miyagi me. And I think she Mr. Miyagi me.
Mm-hmm.
Like she would give me the capsules. She knew that she could see what was going on within me because when we're in our stuff, it's harder for us to see our stuff. Someone else
Yeah.
could see.
Yeah.
Someone on a journey further than us, they could see what's happening to us. And I guess she knew what I needed, and she gave me the right stuff that I was like, oh, this is life.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't smoked. It was taken internally.
Yeah, it was taken internally through capsules. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like she was creating them in a very sacred way, like very intentional, and she probably had different strains for what different people were going through, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. She grows on herself. Those are her babies.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, she knows exactly. She's very versed in what she does, and she's very big on energy. So she provides that for people of knowing what they need, and if they can't express it, she could pick it up and say, "Oh, okay, this is the one you need right here."
Hmm.
So, yeah,
Hmm.
it's
Yeah,
a
and
gift.
I think it's important to differentiate between the corporate cannabis business that's out there now, right? Where the THC levels are so high, it's just like making people just couch potatoes, and people are using it to dissociate, right? And using it as a way to not feel their feelings. So it's beautiful to see that the same medicine done intentionally and grown with so much love and intention, right, can be so beneficial for people, you know?
Yes, I think it's when the way she's doing it, and many other people who have it in their hearts to help people, they're doing it for people over profit. These large corporations doing profit over
Right,
people.
right,
If it can keep you numb and keep coming back and staying numb, then you're a person who's going to continuously paying them over and over and over again.
right,
But you have people who are absolutely looking to help. How I did it when I looked at when she would give it to me, I looked at it as it was a tool for me to go within myself and see what's coming up for me. So see my blocks, see where I'm doing wrong, just see where I can work on me to become the best version of me, of
right.
myself. So I agree with you 100%. I think there's a significant difference between the corporations versus like someone who is very caring and wants to see people heal. So
Right.
that was a huge difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a huge part of it is also the way she grew it and the way she put all that love into it, because you can feel that, with any type of medicine. It's I can feel it, at least. I'll speak for myself, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a frequency to it. There's a intentionality in it, and that makes a big difference. With any plant medicine, right? Like with mushrooms, if they're grown for a big corporation and they're just in bins somewhere in a big warehouse, that's going to feel really different than when it's like with somebody who's, either using soil from the earth or connecting it back. Like I know some people use grounding rods and connect it back into the earth. There's so many ways of doing things more intentionally, more aligned, if you will.
It's a gift that she showed me in her backyard when she was doing everything. It was like, my gosh, like you're doing amazing stuff here. So you're spot on. It's like you're taking care, grounding herself while she's doing this. So she takes care of her babies. And
That's
like I said, you
awesome.
can feel that energy is passed on to whoever she's serving.
Hmm.
It's a gift that she's providing to other people with the energy she puts into the plants, and the plants are providing back to them. So yeah.
So you were having these experiences, right, of suicidal thoughts and those kind of things. How soon after did you meet her, and did it sounds like you left that relationship? Like, what was the timeline on that?
So in the relationship with the person who helped him with the cannabis.
With the person, yeah, let's start with that. Like how long did it take you to be like, okay, this isn't serving me, our contract is complete, and
Oh.
choosing a different path for yourself?
So I would say 2019 is when I that hit me. So
Mhm.
around 2021, 2020, it was like I was walking and went to go walk by myself crying, came back, I was crying. She's like, what's going on? I said, I see the end of the relationship. I see the end of it.
Mm,
And what happened was from that point, she said she saw it already ahead of time. She just couldn't make the move. So she
mm,
saw it in advance. She couldn't make that challenging move, which many of us do that. Many of us will sit in something that's not right for us because it's challenging to make that decision. But choosing not to make a decision is still a choice. So
right,
it's either staying suffering patterns or we say, hey, I see it. I 100% know this is not for me. I
right,
had to. So it took a little while because it's like, how do you express these emotions? How do you express what's happening? So when we decide to make that decision, that's the most challenging part. Yet now you get to make it.
right, right. And for men in particular, it's like a lot of men are like push down their emotions. They try to not feel, right?
Yeah.
We're so much of, I know we're the same age. So much of our upbringing, right, was like men don't cry, men don't feel, men should just suck it up, be the protector, be the, the tough guy, and work through it, And but we weren't given the tools, right? We weren't given many tools to work through it, and so a lot of men would, and still do, choose unhealthy ways to deal with it. So I'm really happy to see that you were able to align with the tools, align with the people that were meant to help you. And so you met this woman and she helped you with the cannabis. So that was around that time, 2020?
It was around 2018 when I met
Okay.
her. Yeah, so basically I was joining a Toastmasters group where to help you with speaking and everything because this
Oh,
was in
cool.
California and every and I was like, okay, I'm gonna continue speaking better.
Mhm.
So she was in that group as well, and we became friends in there. So she started providing, I guess at the time of being around me, she could tell like, hey, this person has some things going on. This person has some things that is coming up for them.
Mhm.
And she did was she, like I said, she Missy Miyagi me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when it came to the point of her pouring into me, it was still from, I would say 2020 when she actually started pouring more of the cannabis supplements and everything, or it's not supplements, but cannabis,
Mhm.
toward me. So 2018, it wasn't like, oh yeah, here, let's do this. It wasn't,
Right.
2000 it wasn't like this. It was more like when she see me going down, when I
Right.
was everything started crashing. It's like, what's going on? What's happening? And then that's when she started providing her services, her gift to me. So I knew her before, but I think when everything started crashing is when she decided, hey, I'm gonna step in and help. So I think that's how it happened.
Okay. And I think that, for some people, there's a threshold that people reach when they are doing the work, right? It's like, okay, I'm gonna feel only so much, right? I'm gonna feel till here, and then that's enough, right? Like then people might say something like that's too much or that's my limit, right? And for me personally, I've found that when I put limits on it, then it just elongates the process. I'd rather face it in the moment, get through it, face the storm, walk through the storm, and come out quicker than running away from the storm, it catching up to me, and then I still have to face it?
Is it okay I curse on here?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say this. It's scary as shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I agree with you 100%. So here's what happens. If you're going through your journey, your ceremonies, your rituals, and you're saying, hey, this is just how much I want to see. I don't want to see more, no more than that. You are still trying to control the situation.
Right.
And the flow is not what you control. And the flow is you surrendering to it and say, hey, whatever is meant to come to me right here, that's what's meant to come to me. But if you're saying, hey, this is what it is, I want to cut it off from this point, you're exact is gonna elongate or is gonna delay the healing process that you have going on because a lot of people, and we'll get into it further when we talk about the super ego, but it's gonna delay your process of expansion
Right.
because now I only want this much, and universe like you can say what you want, but I'm gonna give you everything.
Right. Right.
But it is scary because we don't know on the other side what it looks like until we do. But the same thing I just talked to somebody about today. Same thing is before the rainbow, there's a storm.
Hmm.
Before the healing, we have to face the shadow side of it. We want
Right.
to look at it so we can say, okay, that's scary. Yes, it is. But let me get past this. We had to go through it to get to it. That's it. So yeah.
Exactly.
Agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's being broken right now is this, like you were saying in the beginning, where crying, right? Crying is something that has been looked at as weakness. It's been looked at as something that, as a kid, there's these programs that we pick up like, oh, don't cry, be a man, or don't cry, like wipe your eyes, like it's fine, you're gonna be good. Those kind of programs seem harmless, right? For parents, but then later on it has these effects, right? Where like for yourself, where you went 10 years, that's such a long time to not feel that. And one thing that I really like to emphasize is that crying is no different than purging in any other way, right? So it's like we can purge in so many different ways, but crying is just another way of clearing energy, of removing these parts of ourselves that really need to be felt, right? And I think we're coming back into a age of intuition and an age of feeling, so that we can really face the stuff, feel it. Then on the other side of that, there's forgiveness, there's compassion, but we got to feel it first. If we don't feel it, then we can't get to those next steps and next layers.
Yes, yes. You got to feel it to go through it. That's it. And one of the biggest misconceptions we've had is like sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. It's like, no, those words last.
Oh yeah.
Those
Yeah.
words last from when we're children. The same thing you're saying, suck it up, be a man, don't cry, don't be a wuss. When you're hearing all that stuff, you're putting on all this armor that you feel you got to carry everywhere. And then when someone comes to you and say, oh, you're weak, you put on more, and all you're doing is burying those emotions. Eventually, those emotions turns into it's our demons. It's a
Hmm.
part of us where it's like it wants to break out, and eventually, when it breaks out, everyone's walking around like this angry teenager, like, "Oh no, you don't get to do treat me like this. F this, F that." So you're blocking out all this other stuff because you're bearing all those emotions when those emotions need to come out so you can heal. So,
Hmm.
same thing that says you must become like children again in order to get into the kingdom
Hmm.
in ourselves. We want to become like these childlike creatures again, which is loving, joy, peaceful, and get rid of all the programming of this world so we can step into a space of like, hey, I'm here. I'm present. This is it. This is where we are right here, right now. So you're spot on with the crying, the vulnerability. I was told this. The strongest person in a room is a person who has nothing to hide. That comes with vulnerability. So vulnerability is the power. So when people talk to me like, how can you share about your sex addiction? How can you share about the alcohol? How can you share about contemplation and suicide? I say, because it no longer has a control over me anymore. I don't live in that shame anymore. My
Right.
whole purpose is for me to release it, heal from it, so I can guide other people to do the same, so they don't have to carry that shame, what other people feel or think about them, and putting all that labels on themselves. And I receive help for this. It's not like I just woke up and received this. No, I received help for this in my path. So
Hmm.
yeah, cry, please. Let it be a guard. Cry. Let it out.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that that also comes with feeling like it's safe to, right? That like coming out of that 10-year cycle, you know, I've worked with people where same thing, right? Many, many years of not crying. And then when I was able to just be with them and hold the space and really show up and just be like, hey, whatever comes up is all invited. It's all invited into this space, right? Like whatever you need. If you feel angry, let's release that in a healthy way, right? Like if you're feeling sadness. And a lot of times that anger is is the first layer. And then underneath it is that sadness. So really leaning into that anger in a healthy way, like, you know, you can scream into a pillow, you can punch a pillow, do these things where, go punch the punching bag at the gym. There's there's so many ways to release it in healthy ways. There's all types of containers, women's circles, men's circles, you name it, right? There's ways and tools out there. It's just I've found that the way that spirit aligns the most powerful tools for me is just to let go and be like, okay, I know that I need to release this or heal this. Align me with the people and the place and the divine timing so that I'll know that this is the next step for me. And then let it go, right? Like that's the secret. Just let it go, not attached to like, oh, it's got to be this teacher, it's got to be this, I found this guy on YouTube. It's got to be him. I got to take his retreat or whatever. No, it's like that might be the path, right? But if spirit opens it up beforehand, it may be even more powerful, or that may be the preparation for that next step.
Yeah. The one of the greatest challenges I see with that is obedience. So a lot of people receive the word from spirit and tell you exactly what to do, but then it's like we don't take the action towards it. And then what we're wondering why, how come we're staying in a cycle? How come it's not working? How come I'm still feeling this way? Is because we unfortunately many of us we lack the obedience after we hear the word that receives to us. Like, oh, you received this message, but now it's time to do the work.
Right.
So that's one of the greatest things I do see what falls into our people when we like our spiritual people, we're going through alignment, we're receiving the information, and it's like let's step into that space of honoring the word that you received.
Right.
So I would say that's one big thing. You said something earlier. I'm gonna come back to if I remember, but yeah, feel free to continue. I just wanted to touch on that because obedience is a big one for us. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also discipline, right? For people, that's like a trigger word sometimes because discipline can look in so many different ways. But it's for me, it was a process of recognizing that if I'm disciplined with myself,
Yeah.
I'm disciplined with Creator.
Yes.
So it's like if I'm showing up for myself, if I'm doing what I need to do, if I fill up my cup and I cleanse my energy every day and continue to align with my highest timeline, then from that space, it keeps opening up, right? And a lot of people, and there's so many comforts, quote unquote, out there, right? There's Netflix, there's so many ways to find comfort, and the discipline isn't what we were taught. It's this devotion to self and the devotion to the path, like we mentioned in the beginning, right? Like staying true because the benefits and the rewards are so much greater when we lean into these things and see the rainbow, like you were mentioning on the other side of the storm. And a lot of people don't get to the rainbow,
Yeah.
right? They're like, oh, the storm's here. I'm gonna go smoke some weed. I'm gonna go watch some Netflix. I don't want to feel it. I don't want to face it. I'm not ready. But when we do, there's a huge reward, right? There's so much like juice that comes out of that lemon, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like you're just gonna get a little bit of the peel, you're gonna get a little vitamin C, but if you just lean into it, there's so much to harness and gain from that. And it looks different for every person. And, some people are like, oh, but I gave up this. I don't want to give anything else up. But it's like, what if you just listened a little bit, then spirit is guiding you that this is the next step for you to really expand and right like people are like, oh, why am I stuck in my business and I can't reach these goals, or why can't I attract the partner that I really desire, or why can't I find my spiritual tribe. It's like because there's this one thing that that individual most likely knows that's blocking them from the next stages, but they're not ready to give that up because maybe they've been doing it since they were 14 or since childhood, and now giving that up is like losing a piece of identity, right?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. You said that great. So it is said, in order to become the person you're meant to become, the old version of you must die.
Right.
So we want to leave it behind, saying,
Mm-hmm.
okay, how do I step into the version of me that I am today to become the version of me who I want to become? And the same thing you said, not everybody sees the rainbow. This is what it means by many are called, few are chosen. This path is narrow. What is it to sell your soul but gain the world? So sometimes, like you said, some people will go and do something that's off their path and they're creating something different that's temporary satisfaction. And then what you realize is that you lost yourself once again. You lost who you are because you decided to do something on your own path instead of listening to what spirit told you to do. You chose your own path. And now you're wondering why you're going back into a repeat cycle of the things that we once did, the things that we're not willing to let go of. And you were spot on when you were talking about that. It's that we want to be able to say, hey, this one thing that's holding me still. How do I release this in order for me to get to this next expansion? To raise my frequency so high. Sometimes it's that slingshot This thing's pulling you back, pulling you back, pulling you back, and eventually, or the bow and arrow, you let it go, and you're gonna just expand tremendously. But you're right, it is a challenge because now it's identity. When it comes down, you said devotion as well. Devotion, commitment, all those could be triggering words for people because they sound like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. But when we wear that, it's like, yeah, it's part of it, but don't have to wear it. Don't make it part of our identity of who we are. Just
Hmm.
know that one, follow the path, continue being open to receive the messages. Once you receive the message, act on it. I was told this way. Faith, the greatest form of faith is action.
Mm.
You're taking steps and you don't know what's going to happen on the other side of it. Now,
Right.
if you keep repeating the same steps, you know what's going to happen because that's your comfort you're talking about, like the Netflix, the dopamine hits when we have our notifications go off because someone liked our post. It's
Hmm.
those dopamine hits that prevent us from the comforts you talked about, that prevent us from saying, "Hey, how do I get to this next step? Let me move
Right.
here to this next space." So, yeah, it's a gift how you said that. You said it perfectly. It was great. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you. Yeah, it's it's a refinement, right? For me, there was a time when I would be like, "Oh, I want to get the Lamborghini. I want to get, these things that society says is going to bring me joy." And then for the Lamborghini, for example, I ended up buying like a model car kit of it because I just loved the aesthetic of it, the art. It's like a living, drivable piece of art, right? To me, the beauty of the curves and all that, right? Like I'm big into art. And and then when I got the model kit, I was able to put it all together and experience what it might feel like to receive that, right? And I remember as a teenager, that was the goal. Get a Lamborghini, right? Like I really wanted that. And there was something that got fulfilled in me when I got this model kit. I was like, you know what? It wasn't about, yeah, there was a piece of me that wanted the status of having this nice car, people looking at it, being like, oh, what'd you do to get this? And how hard did you work? And those kind of things. But more so than that, it was the art piece, right? Like, okay, I really appreciate this piece of art, and I don't need to spend at the time it was like $100,000 for a Lamborghini. Now it's way more than that. But it was like I can use that $100,000 to buy a house, to get land. Like I can use that to help so many people, to build a community. And so it something shifted in me when I had that awakening, and it was like, okay, this model kit is just good enough, right? And now there's I can still appreciate the cars when I see them driving around town, but there's no desire to get that because I know what, even if I had $1 billion, I wouldn't use that $1 billion for something like that because it's more of a machine to feed the ego. It's more of like, how can people notice me more, right?
mhm.
And that was the core of it for me, right? Like underneath all of it, I wanted to be seen, I wanted to be loved, I wanted to be heard, just like all of us. And in middle school and early high school, that wasn't available to me. I wasn't like part of that circle where people really saw me, right? At least that's how I felt. And so there was a part of me that wanted to make up for that as an adult. And and then I realized, no, that's not it, right? Like I'm really not looking for that because those people that are gonna notice me aren't my people anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those aren't the people that are seeing my heart, that are feeling my energy, that I really want to connect with. I I want to connect with people that don't care about what I do for work, that don't care about, where I'm getting income because that can change and shift every day, right? So I care about people seeing me, people connecting with me on a deeper level, and that was one of my processes with facing that ego and connecting with that. Can you relate to that at all?
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. It's always I have middle child syndrome.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's like you're looking for this attention you feel that you didn't get. And what
Right.
happens is I'll share where I noticed it. So I remember one of my lies when I was a kid. I remember I was in speak families from Jamaica. I grew up with a Jamaican dialect. And when I went to public school, I was told I couldn't read well, couldn't write well, couldn't speak well. I was put in speech classes, ESL, and then I also failed the first grade. So from a little child, you're hearing you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. So what do you think? You think you're wrong. It's like I'm obviously nothing's right with me. So that's where the ego was born. I remember in the ego began, but I just became numb. But I remember in seventh grade, a gentleman said, "Yeah, you used to be in these classes with us, the ESL and the remedial classes." And the ego said, "No, I wasn't. You're lying. No, I
Hmm.
wasn't." So it defended itself. It's like, "No, I wasn't." And that's when it started changing. And what happened was in seventh grade is I put I used to see my aunt and my brother wear like color hazel contacts and everything, like those brown ones, and I put those in my eye. That was the ego saying, I'm going to kill this little child. I'm going to get this
Mm,
little child and end this existence. I'm now going to rule this child's life. And
mm,
from that point, it was attempting to prove itself to everybody else.
right,
Ego is it's wild. So it took over. Now the authentic version of self, everyone who's running from ego, the authentic version of themselves is like they're sitting in the back seat. The ego's driving a vehicle, and it's like you get comfortable in the back seat. You're talking about those comforts earlier. So when we're staying on our Netflix, we're staying in our dopamine hits. It's like we was like, oh, there's a blanket over here. Let me put this blanket on. And you're sitting in the back seat, and eventually you're like, oh, let me snuggle up. Let me get in the baby seat and just I don't gotta do anything no more. And you lose yourself. So 100% many of us, I got to the point to where it's like I wanted to prove myself to everybody else. And now today it's like I don't have to prove anything to anyone. It's like if the same thing you talk about the Lamborghini. If this is just anybody in this world, if you're looking to buy something to be flashy to everybody else, you already lost yourself
right,
because you're doing it for everyone else. You're looking for validation outside of yourself when you're not looking for the guidance within. You're looking
right,
for everyone else to treat you a certain way because that's what we didn't get as children. So that's what we're wanting, but we're not realizing in that want, we lose ourself in our want. So like once again, what is it to gain the world but lose your soul? You're losing who you are. You're losing your essence. You're losing your divinity instead of saying, hey, let me come back to me. I pray. Many people go through their awakening so they can experience it. It sucks at first, don't get me wrong. Some people have this beautiful awakening. Oh my gosh. Some people are like, oh my gosh, what is happening here?
right, right.
So mine is having like, oh my gosh, mine was an ugly version of mine. So, but you know, absolute identity with the ego it has taken its place. And I remember that lie that came out of my mouth just to protect self. Once that person said you was in this class because I was worried about somebody else's what other someone else thought. It's like, oh
Right.
no, you pull back on that. So yeah, it's most definitely an identity, ego. Once that takes over, it's challenging. It is challenging to take back control, but it's possible to take back control. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you and I are living examples of that, you know? But yeah, it's a for me, I think the ego still exists
Mhm.
at moments, right? And and it's about expanding the awareness for me and being able to recognize when the ego's coming in. And what's really fascinating is another thing that is challenging for some people is saying I'm sorry.
Mm.
It's so crazy because I'm on the other side of that, but like looking back at it, there was times when I was like, no, I'm not gonna say sorry. You know, I'm not gonna like. It felt like I was giving a piece of myself up for something, right? And I've learned that there's way more on the other side of that for me personally, and being like, hey, you know what? Taking accountability and responsibility for my actions. Like, hey, you know, I had a little hiccup today. You know, I had a moment where I was real triggered or something happened and I was out of alignment and I'm sorry, right? And I had a friend come over the other day and that friend was like, I have a really hard time saying I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that, but I will, you know, do these other things and I was like, why? Right? Like what is it about saying that particular thing is so difficult for some people, right? and and it was just like I saw this like deeply rooted program of like some sort of belief related to saying those particular words, right? Like that might make the person feel less than, or it might make that person feel like, oh, they gave away their power, or who knows what it is for each individual, right? But I found that when I broke through that ego barrier, right? Of like being like there is so much more beauty on the other side, and the connection and vulnerability and those kind of things, where I show up and am vulnerable first,
Yeah.
because then it opens the door for the other person to be vulnerable. And if if there's that refinement of holding space and being able to really meet that person where they're at, then that conversation can take a totally different turn, as long as it can come back to the essence of it. Like, hey, we're on the same team. I love you. Like, we're trying to get to the other side of this, not butt heads and who's got more ego, right? Like who's
Yeah.
got more to show, right? And so that piece is, I think, very interesting. The apology piece of it, you know?
Yeah. You're right. Some people they feel like they're gonna lose their power behind it when they
Hmm.
say that, or it's challenging because they're afraid of the same thing we are talking about. Like when you're going through your expansion, you say, "I'm gonna only want this much to show to
It's
me."
the same energy,
Same thing, because you're like, if I say this, what next? What do I
right?
think? So it's like that's where it comes down. That part of it's still holding and gripping. It's like, hey, now don't get me wrong. Some people you're gonna be like, hey, how do I say it? You're attempting to learn the right way of saying it. But if you're absolutely this person, like, I'm not gonna do this because you're carrying that because you don't want to face the other emotion that. So healing work takes courage. It takes courage. So for you to look at it and say, hey, I'm in the wrong at this, and I believe I need to make it right.
Hmm.
And some people, they don't believe they make it right because of what they're doing is they're just bypassing it all. And remember when I told you earlier, 10 years, I was just carrying all that emotion. So that's what everyone's doing. So anytime you're avoiding to apologize, you're building on more armor to cover up the real emotions of who you really are. And then you're going to be stuck there and you're going to think like, oh, I'm this macho guy. It's like, you're going to think that all you want. And today, I talk about today, in today's world, unfortunately, many women are also stuck in their masculine energy now.
Right.
So men, they're stuck there. They don't want to deal with their feminine energy. It's like, no, we have that as well. When you find a blend between the two, it's like you're in a great space. But now because of work, because society norms and everything, a lot of women are out of touch with their intuition. And what they're doing is just seeking outside themselves. Like you have such a beautiful power. You have such an essence within you. So when you go into your intuition and you realize your truth and what you feel, my gosh, you know that that's you. That's your essence. It's
Yeah.
like lose that. If anybody's watching this, I'm begging you, don't lose that.
Yeah.
It's a gift. It's a gift. So yeah, yeah. No, but I agree with you. The apology is a big one. It's you're just building on more armor that's gonna bypass or that's gonna block out your true essence of who you are. So yeah.
Yeah, and as you were talking, it made me think about the physical body, the temple, the vessel, right? And these stuck emotions start to look a certain way on people,
Yes.
right? So it sounds like for you in those 10 years, it looked like putting on weight, right?
It was more. I just had a conversation with one of my brother's friends. Went to go move some chairs for a graduation thing they had.
Yeah.
And the gentleman, he was like, "Hey, Izzy, I thought you only had like two brothers or one brother." And he's like, "No, no." He said, "Thought he had two brothers." I said, "No, brother's like, no, I have three." And he's like, "I don't have think I ever met him." I was like, "No, we've met." And he said, "What do you do?" I said, "Well, I'm a coach." And I said, "I was in real estate first." He said, "Wait, you're the brother that was in real estate?" He said, "Oh my gosh, you look a lot younger. You looked old. I thought you were older than like my other brother is 2 years, 2 days older than me." He said, "I
Hmm.
thought you were older than him." And I was like, "No." I was like, "I appreciate that compliment. I receive." Yet at the same time, I said, because I was full of that ego. I was stressed out. Physically, I was not active. I wasn't the best. I wasn't taking care of my temple, as you're talking
Hmm.
about. So it's not just the looks, the age, because we do have the biological chronological age. The biological age went down, chronological age went up, but it's also your light, your spirit. Like
Right.
someone can see, like this radiating off of you, that's the gift. But when you're not taking care of the temple, we start seeing it dim. We start seeing
Hmm.
this light dim, and you'll start noticing people when they have that very stern just face all the time. Some people call it, what's it, the RBF, the resting bitch face.
Right, right,
You
right,
see that? It's like the light's gone, but it's because also we're not taking care of the temple. That's what we realize. So the temple does connect. We're wonderful when we can tap into our spirit 100%. But if we're talking about getting in alignment truly, it's like, let's take care of this. Take care of
right.
this temporary thing that we have right now. Let food be thy medicine. That's how I look at it. So yeah. But yeah, it's not just the my overweight. It was my appearance, my energy. I had dark, very, very dark circles. Everything was just, yeah, it was you can see the difference.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure, absolutely. So, what did you change in your diet at that time to start to lose the weight and like you said, a lot of it's energetic, a lot of it is those kind of things, and you made a lot of shifts to become more active and you switched your diet, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was pescatarian for several years, and I wasn't like sourcing like the best of the seafood that I was eating at that time.
Hmm.
And I went back and tried meat again, and my body just like, no. And I tried the grass-fed beef when I went back and everything, but my body absolutely just said, hey, no, this is not for us. I was feeling lethargic, the fatigue. I was just feeling bloated. I was like, something's not right because I had it out of my system for a while.
Yeah.
And because I did pescatarian about 3 years and then I tried to meat again, I said, okay, we tried a pescatarian, we did the meat. How can I go even further?
Hmm.
And what I did was I went plant-based. So now I'm fully plant-based. And I'm not one of those big process eating plant-based. I'm more whole foods plant-based. The
Uh-huh.
reason why, because I still look at it as a lot of processed foods that we're eating. Some of those foods that are in there, many people can't pronounce what the foods are. They can't spell the foods what they are. Sometimes they start with an X with 13 letters. It's like, what is this?
Hmm.
So when you can't spell it, when you can't pronounce it, maybe more than likely we should be putting it in our body because
Hmm.
it's being made man-made in a lab somewhere. And most of the foods that are being man-made in a lab are not for your benefit. They're for you to be addicted to it. The same thing such as the cereals and everything. Majorities were bought out by cigarette companies. What do you think they're looking for? They're looking for you to get addicted so you can stay continuously being a client for them, a
Right.
customer. So most of the foods that we have today, especially when it comes down to processed foods, I want you to consider that processed foods were like started around the early 1900s, but it blew up in the 1950s.
Yeah.
Looking at less than 100 years, processed foods have been in our existence. Processed junk foods have been in our existence. But that is the, the thing that's marketed the most. That's the
Hmm.
thing that's out on the shelves most.
Yeah.
So the produce, the fresh produce, is not marketed as well as the cereals, the Pop-Tarts, the bags of chips, the cookies. They're not targeted like that. So if we're eating these foods, I look at it as the rule of thumb. If it has more than 5 ingredients, red flag. If it
Hmm.
has something that you cannot pronounce, something that you cannot spell or you're by your own and someone said it to you, red flag.
Hmm.
So it's just being mindful of like when we're going back to nature, it was a garden of Eden. It's like let's go back to what Mother Earth is providing for us and start giving that into our body and we're going to process that well. So it's not saying I'm not converting anybody to become plant-based. It's your choice what you're choosing. I would just say if you're a person who still chooses to eat meat, anything like that, source it. Make sure you know where your stuff is coming from. Me personally, I'm just a person saying if it doesn't grow from Mother Earth, I don't want it. That's what I realize that aligns with me, my energy for me to stay tapped in and aligned to spirit. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree with all that for sure. And one thing that I have been experimenting with and resonates with me is eating by your blood type.
Good. Good. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
there's a few books out there about it, but basically certain blood types do well with meat, other blood types don't. Other blood types do well with being plant-based. So it's pretty interesting. For me, I tried the plant-based and pescatarian is like my ideal scenario. And yeah, it's because I, I intentionally pray with my food. I intentionally every meal I thank the if I'm eating fish or seafood, I thank the fish and the seafood, and I make sure that it's wild caught and had a good life, because all that plays into we take all that energy inside our bodies, right?
Yeah.
And so many people are depressed and they're wondering why, and it's because you're eating a McDonald's hamburger that the cow was mutilated and had a terrible life, and then all that energy is going into our body.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm very particular about where the food comes from, how I'm eating it, and I find that any of the red meats just don't. It's been many years since I've had any red meats. The only exception I make is for bison,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they don't use any hormones in bison. I've been walking the red road, the Native American path, and they give you a little bit of bison when you come back from Vision Quest and things like that. So it's done very sacredly. It's done with very intentionally. So with that, I make some exceptions for that, but I I don't feel that heaviness and that torture and everything energy from those things. And I have in the past, and in my 20s, but I don't I don't foresee myself ever going back to that, even if it's grass fed and those kind of things, just because it's so heavy in my system. And just rarely I'll make an exception for bison. And so yeah, it's really interesting. The blood types, when I learned about that, it made a really big difference in how what my body needed because of that blood type. And when I realized that I was already experimenting and refining that, I was like, oh, I'm already doing this, what it
Yeah.
says in this book. So I was like, okay, cool. This, but I encourage people that are listening to look into that if it resonates, to check out what blood type you are and what sits well in your body, what takes a long time to digest, what is best for you, because I know some people that thrive on eating meat, but that's most likely their blood type is aligned with that.
And that's why I say I'm not here to convert anybody.
Right.
So I'm a person that's like, no, you need to eat this way. And it's like, no, if you know that it works well for you, then absolutely go for it. Now,
Yeah.
the same thing you talked about is like when you said the red meat's heavy for you. That's like if you were to choose that, other than the bison, of course, because the bison is a cleaner meat. If you were to choose the red meat and you know that it doesn't align with you, and then you're eating it, that's the same thing we're talking about. Now you know it misaligns you.
Right.
Now you know you're not tapped in. So this is the same exact thing we're talking about, like we talked about the Netflix, the comforts and everything. So the processed foods that people are reaching for, you're wondering why you're not hearing spirit anymore. You're wondering why you're disconnected from your highest self. And then when we're eating at things, because literally it's tearing you apart, it's separating you from who you are. So the same thing, you are aware, like, hey, this does not work well with my body, and more than likely, I'm not going back to it. You're choosing that narrow path, what many are called, few are chosen. You're choosing to follow the path and stick to the path.
Hmm.
So good stuff, my guy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as you were saying that, it brings up the topic of self-sabotage.
Mm, mm.
And a lot of people, including myself, right, even till this day, there are moments where I catch myself self-sabotaging, right? Whatever that looks like, when there's a moment of like, okay, this is the next step, or this is what I know I need to do, and then either it's like, oh no, I'm gonna do it regardless for whatever reason, right? It might be financial, it might be there's millions of reasons why somebody would self-sabotage, but getting to that core of it, right? Like getting to the core of why people self-sabotage. There's this book I've mentioned on the podcast before that I'm reading right now called The Big Leap,
Okay.
and they talk about the glass ceiling of like where people will get to, and then that's their limit, and then but they can break through it as long as they recognize that they're at that limit, right? And so that's been really interesting for me to be observing in myself of like where my glass ceilings are, and when I break through, what that feels like, and then aligning with that frequency again in order to get to those next stages of whatever it is that I'm doing, you know?
Yeah. I think so when you're getting ready to break through that next glass ceiling that you're talking about, one thing that holds us back to self-sabotage is that comfort of who we know who we are right now. So we
Right.
talk about the ego is like you're getting ready to break through, but it says before there's a breakthrough, there's a breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
So the emotions, there's going to be a ceiling here. Those emotions are going to start hitting when you get to this point. And it's like, and either I'm going to feel these emotions and go through it, or I'm going to sit there and say self-sabotage and I start back over. And
Mm-hmm.
anytime you feel misaligned, go back into your root chakra. Make sure you, hey, I'm covered. I'm good. I'm safe. I'm taken care of. All is well.
Mm-hmm.
And then start going back and build back up. But once you get to that point, I was told this way. So I'll tell people this. Healing is not about being a pushover. Healing is about having the courage to one, stand up for yourself nowadays because no one would do it when you're younger.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get to these emotions, we don't stand up for ourselves. We don't honor those emotions.
Yeah.
We allow ourselves to say, let me go find something to distract myself, these comforts, so I do not go through these emotions. One of the best gifts you can give yourself is put it on your calendar if you can, but honor it. So if you have something that's very challenging, like, hey, I'm been pushing it off, I'm not doing it, put it on the calendar, honor it. But here's the part. Many of us are seeking the distractions to come up. We're waiting. It's like, let somebody call me, let somebody say they need me to do this, and we'll drop everything and go.
Yeah.
But what we show up for ourselves is a version of ourselves. We call it the critter mind. It's a version of ourselves that it knows what we are. It's like think of it like the first time you ever gone on a roller coaster. You're waiting in that line, and at the back of the line is all excited, like yes, yes. As we get closer, anxiety starts kicking in, like oh my gosh,
Oh
this.
yeah.
Then you get there, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's actually happening. And you start going up, and it's like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? That's what it is as we're going through this. We're getting to the top of that hill on the top of that roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do is until we say, I'm going to break past this point, sometimes we just want to sit there. We want that roller coaster to start going backwards instead and go back to the landing station. But what happens is it breaks through and you come back on the other side. It goes down, but that's life. It's going to be ebbs and flows, light and dark, yin yang. But we want to make sure and honor that feeling right then and there. Feel the emotions of it. So recently, someone sent a text message out and the feelings came in. I got out of alignment. And my brother said, how come you're not practicing what you're preaching? I said, no, I am.
Mm-hmm.
I said, because healing does not mean we do not look at our emotions and feel them. Healing means I have the courage to feel them in my present state so I do not push it back there and then it comes back later piled up with all these other feelings I'm blocking out and bury me. No, I'm going to feel in my emotions and then I'm going to release it so I don't carry it. So the same thing when we get here, feel the emotions, feel that energy so we can break through that next glass ceiling and get to that next space instead of self-sabotage and come back down here. So
Yeah.
no one, it's progress, not perfection. That's how I look at it. That's how I was taught as well. It's progress, not perfection. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, and it brings up that piece of like being, for me, I don't care anymore about what other people think of me. It's
Mhm.
about being a little bit better than I was the day before, right?
That's it.
And it starts to build on itself, and then eventually it it like let's say every day you do 1% better. By the time 100 days comes around, you're not at 100%, you're at 1,000% because it doubles and triples and continues on to grow from there. So, and there's setbacks, right? There's little
Yeah.
hiccups, but then instead of saying like, okay, feeling bad about it, right? I just accept it and be like, okay, next time I'm gonna do it this way. And that's where those little refinements are, right? Like where it's like, okay, I'm not feeling bad about it, but I've recognized where I was out of alignment, and now I can refine it and next time do a little better, right? And I think that has cumulatively expanded on itself,
Yeah.
and that's what allows for that growth to get to those next levels. and to those deeper realizations. And you mentioned something in earlier on in the podcast where you said that you got to listen, right? Like you got to be
Mhm.
able to hear the intuition and then act on it. But for a lot of people, they're so distracted, there isn't this availability to listen, right? It's not available, or it might be so quiet, in our ear that it it doesn't register as something, right? And so, what are some of the tools that you've found that help you really listen and get to that space?
How you start your day. For the most part, when people wake up, they're checking their social media, they're checking their emails, they're checking their text messages, they're checking what's happening with anything and everybody else. If you wake up early, the energy is very quiet. It's very still. No one's like moving around so much. But if you're waiting until you start your day, you put all this chaos in front of you. It's like, let me just get everything in front of me. All the dopamine hits are coming at you at once. Like, oh my gosh, yes, let me do this. And then your mind saying, I need to do this. I need to get this done. I need to. So you're already putting yourself, your nervous system now is in the sympathetic nervous system, which is like the fight or flight. You're starting your day off in a crash course
Hmm.
instead of saying, let me wake up, take my time to sit in some stillness, some quiet. Let me go within. Let me go into my meditation. Let me go into myself, sit with myself for a bit, tap in, get in a line, go ground outside, take some nice deep breaths. And before we allow ourselves to get distracted by the program of this world, allow ourselves to go within ourselves and program what's going on in here. So that is going to be one of the greatest steps first is how you begin your day. If you already begin your day rushing, running, your nervous system is now shot. Your cortisol is now spiking. You're
Hmm.
wondering why you need 10 cups of coffee a day. It's like because this is how we're starting. We're
Hmm.
starting in this. Now we're becoming complacent on the rush life. So when someone tells you, how do you get back in alignment? Slow down. Get back into the present moment. Come back here. And they're like, I don't have time for that. I need to get this done. I get that. But I have this. I have this. I have the kids. I have this. I have this job. It's like, yeah, you do. But what happens when you lose yourself because you have all this? It's the same thing as we have a little daughter. It's the same thing when I tell you on an airplane. Whose mask do you put on first? Yours. Because
Hmm.
if you don't get yours on, you can't take care of anybody else. So we're going to this world trying to pour into other people while not sitting there taking care of ours. It's like
Hmm.
we must fill our cup up so we can pour it over to other people. A lot of people are burned out. Their hormones are all over the place. We're misaligned from ourselves. We can't hear that voice that you're talking about, such as spirit guiding us, the downloads that are coming in. We
Hmm.
can't hear it because we're always searching for something outside of ourselves that I need to get this done. I need to get that done. Here's social media. Here's the emails. Here's this for the jobs. Like, go back within yourself for the start of your day, the very beginning of the day. Give back to you so you can give back to the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Really well said. And there's a lot of different tools out there besides meditation. There's a plant medicine called hape, where it's like a tobacco snuff that gets you really grounded. That actually helps me get deeper into meditation. There's Kundalini yoga or any type of yoga, like starting a day with some stretching. What I've been doing lately is 2 hours of no phone before when I wake up. You know, I wake up a little early so that, you know, by the time the 2 hours is up, I'm already done. Another great thing is going to the gym, going to the sauna, steam room, getting the sweat out before before going on the phone and getting all that dopamine dump, right? And there's so many different ways of doing it. You can start with some gentle stretching. You can go on. We have something called a chi machine that the Tibetan monks, they'll hold each other's ankles and oscillate each other, and that like gets the chi all aligned in the body. And the chi machine is really nice to get the energy all the spine aligned and all the energy aligned. You know, taking a cold shower is really nice to get really into the body. In Kundalini yoga, I learned like using like a brush to wipe down your skin before you go in the cold shower, so everything's alive and you're fully in your body. You know, there's a lot of tools out there for it, and it just take what resonates, and you can start small if you're not doing anything. Like I just tell people 5 minutes meditation, just sit in stillness, just letting the thoughts come and go, let them come and go, and that's it. That's all you focus on, and that's a powerful tool in itself, you know. And then eventually, the thoughts all leave, and we're just in stillness, and it's not about like a 2 hour meditation one day and then you don't do it for another month. It's about building, like we said earlier, right? Like even if it's 5 minutes for a week, then 10 minutes for a week, right? And it builds on itself, and there's this beauty, and there's this beauty in getting together with people, joining a meditation group, you know, when there's people all doing it together, three or more. There's so many, you know, religious sects that say three or more gathered together are going to amplify the energy. So, you know, when I was in San Diego, we had a meditation group. We'd all gather at 6:30 in the morning by the beach to meditate. So all that's available. We just have to, like I said earlier, just set the intention, let it go, and then it'll come in however it needs to, you know?
Yes, yes. And what you said earlier, one of the greatest investments that we don't look at in our lives, your spiritual wellness,
Yeah.
your your health. This here, as you're talking about, is compound interest. So
Hmm.
the version of who you are today isn't a version of you before you go into the awakening.
Right.
It's like you expanded so much. Same for me, same for anyone who's watching this. As you're watching this, I pray the energy that Peter and I are putting out right now is like it's helping guide other people or giving people remembrance of what this is.
Yeah.
And for those who like feeling like they don't know what they're feeling, they're confused. This is a turning point right here. This is a gift. When someone says, "I don't know what's happening," like, "Oh, you about to go through it? Let's go."
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
turning point. It's like start just take the 5 minutes breathing. It's finding consistency. It's not being perfect. It's finding consistency, get it done, and then start journaling some stuff. Just start journaling like what you're feeling, like what it because sometimes you can't express it, but when you start getting out, that free writing is going to start coming in by itself, and you're going to realize that hey, I'm writing so much and getting this out. So that's another tool. The
That's
grounding.
another great tool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's getting it out of us and not wearing it anymore. So that's what I like I said, those years I was carrying it. It's like I don't know how to carry it anymore. So I look at it as like the journalist. Let's say, for instance, we have a backpack on, we're putting in all of our traumas from when we were kids and everything. And it's like, I'm choosing to carry this with me. And it's
Hmm.
like when you're journaling, it's like every time you journal, think about it like you're taking something out of that backpack and you're saying, let me put that down now. Let me put this down now. I don't got to carry that anymore.
Yeah.
So, and I'm gonna give this significant thing. Don't be superficial with the journaling.
Oh yeah.
Because a lot of people they'll write stuff, they're like, I'm afraid that someone's gonna see this whenever I die.
Ooh.
Whenever you pass from this transition from this body and you go into the next, what does it matter? It's
Right.
like let it go. So be honest with yourself. Somebody find your journal, they find your journal, or whatever, but put it somewhere no one find it. But write down your truth so we can get all this stuff out of that bag faster. So we're not carrying it in our day-to-day lives. So yeah.
Yeah, or another option is to write it down and then burn it.
Yes, beautiful.
Right.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Yes.
like just get it out, release it, like fully feel it, and then a full moon is a great time to do it. Full
Yeah.
moon ceremony, they have those all around every city I know, and you know, yoga studios and stuff. There's always full moon circles happening. So or you could do it yourself. You just go outside, you know, get somewhere where there's no trees or dry leaves, obviously,
Yeah.
and just put it on the pavement and let it all go, you know, and you know, it is a form of magic though. So
Yeah.
so be careful, right? Like so, you know, it's good it's all about releasing in a good way and then coming back to love, right?
Yeah.
Like and for me, I think this is important to mention. It's like there was a moment where I was a victim
Yeah.
where everybody was against me. You know, if somebody was trying to do this, somebody was trying to do that. Why is this happening to me? And there was a shift where I was like, you know what? My soul chose all this, every single one of these experiences, the craziest, most dark stuff to the most beautiful light and rainbows, right? My soul chose all that because all of it was important for my growth to where I am now. I wouldn't be the same person if I didn't have all that, every single little piece of it, right? And so then when I looked at it that way, I said, okay, I'm responsible for everything in my life. Every single choice I've made has brought me to this moment. And then from there, there's an accountability piece of like, okay, I chose that relationship. I chose my parents. I chose my family. I chose to go to this university. Whatever it is that I chose, even though it doesn't seem like we chose our parents and our family and all these traumas, there was a part of me that took that accountability and chose it, even though it may seem a little bit far out that
Mhm.
that was chosen by my soul, but we're
Mhm.
eternal beings, and
Yeah.
I believe that there's no coincidence
No.
to those kind of choices. And I came into this body with those decisions. And when I took that accountability, then it took all the pressure off everybody else. And it doesn't mean that I get to invite those people back into my life, but I'm carrying that in my backpack, like you said, in my trauma backpack. If I don't forgive, like genuinely forgive for my own peace, otherwise that's going to keep manifesting in every relationship that I surround myself with, whether that's friends, business, lovers, doesn't matter. It's all gonna keep coming out of that backpack and be reflected to me like a mirror. So it's better to take the accountability and then face it head on and then find that love and compassion eventually once it's been released.
Yes, you said several beautiful things. You said
Thank you.
several beautiful things. Yeah, no worries. So you are right, it's an agreement. So when someone screws you over in this world and you ask, why did I do this? Because you agreed upon it before you came here.
Right.
Your parents, you made an agreement. With the people who did hurt you, the people who love you, the people you let go of, you made an agreement
Yep.
before. This is
Yeah.
part of experiencing this whole thing. And the trap, I talked about this before, is like, I haven't talked about it here, but one of the traps is that isolation stage. So when we're going through a spiritual awakening, yes, we go through an isolation stage. It's part of the phases. But staying there is what brings you back into what you talk about when we fall into that victim mentality. Everyone's against me. No one sees my gifts. No one sees that I'm able to do this. No one's capable. It's like you want to be put out there in front of everybody, but no one's listening. But
Hmm.
sometimes the biggest issue we have when we go through that, when you go through a spiritual awakening, you're attempting to share with everybody, you get love, you get love, you get love. The problem with that is you're trying to share with the same people who are stuck in that trauma cycle. They're still stuck there. So
Hmm.
go around the people, stay, get in your isolation stage until you break that energy, get to the next energy, so you start surrounding yourself around the people who are in that path. So
Yeah.
this finding your life community. You're finding the people who are going to support you, guide you, help you on your journey, and stop trying to share it with the people who think you're weird now because you went through your spiritual work. And he's like, "Who are you?" It's like, "I'm actually me. I'm not walking around as an NPC anymore."
Hmm. Right.
And the same thing is when you get out there, you surround yourself with other people talk about it. They could see what's going on within you to help guide you. But when you stay in that isolation stage, this is where you fall back to no one's helping me, no one's just, and when you get a little bit of traction because you're focusing more on willpower now because you got into this victim space, you're gonna go in and say it's all you, it's just you, it's just you, and then you get stuck into a point of that super ego coming in.
Mm.
It's like I'm doing this. I got this. I'm just like, oh, be careful with that because now you're gonna go down a sticky road. It's like catch yourself real fast, or everything will sit there and start going a different way, and you don't
Mm.
want it.
Hmm.
So it's being mindful of that trap because it will lead you into that victim mentality. It will lead you to where that ego comes back in as a different form. It's like it
Right.
comes back stronger, and that's where you want to be mindful with that super ego. When that comes back, it's like, oh, it created a whole new thing, and you don't know it's there right now. You don't know it's now it's just blatant. It's there because think of it. What does that super ego look like? When you go through the spiritual awakening, it's like, oh, you guys don't know what you're talking about. I'm better because I'm doing this way. I'm eating this way, so I'm better than you. It's like, no, 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 no. You allow the thing to create a whole new ego because you came through. It's like go back to the love, the light, treat everyone one of a kind. It's like you are me, I am you, we are one. And treat it as such. But when you fall back into the anger, the bitterness, the upset, and feel like that ego is all you, you just made a new ego come in,
It's a
and it's
trap. Yeah, it's a trap.
yeah, it's stronger than the one before. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a thin line too. It's
Yeah.
a thin
Yeah.
line.
Yeah, it's a thin line, and I think one way that I've found helpful with that is remaining humble and coming back to that, right? Like where and also coming back to the student mentality,
Yes.
right? Like I I think that for me it was important to remind myself that I really don't know anything, right? So if I don't know anything, I'm from that space continuing to be the student. It just opens everything up. There's that awe factor. Everything is so much more interesting. It's so much more exciting, right? But if it's like, oh, I know everything already, I'm good, then there is no room to grow from that place, right? Because there is continuously, no matter where you are on your path, I believe there's always something to learn, whether that's a new hobby, a new craft, a new way of relating, a new way of communicating, a new way of refining how we show up, or refining how we hold space. There's constantly these refinements that can only happen if we're in that mentality of like, I really don't know anything, and I'm willing and open to continue to learn and continue to be open. And for me personally, these podcasts every week, I learn something new every week, and even if it's a slight little adjustment or a slight little download or a new book or a new video, like all that is compiling on itself and assisting and helping. And so for me, I love doing this because of the guests and so much that I'm learning, and but I'm doing it from a space of like I'm open and I'm willing, and I'm not your guru. I'm
Yeah.
not I'm just here to be me, and you can take what resonates, and you're here to be your own guru. And there are certain lessons that I've passed, that you've passed, that other people have passed, that are there to help with those lessons. But it can only come to the people that come to you. I, during that initial stages, I was like, oh, I gotta get out there. I gotta share with everybody everything that I just learned. And very quickly, Spirit knocked me on my butt and was like, nope, that's not how it goes. If they want it, they're going to come to you and they'll be open and receptive. And that's the people that you can share with. But if you're trying to reach a handout for somebody who's not willing to take it, it's not going to lead to anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's beautiful how you said that. It's when you're open, your energy, think of your energy, your aura is like this, and your crown chakra is open. And in the moment you say, I know it, everything closes. It all shuts. Because now that you know it all, why do you need to receive more? So you're
Right.
not receptive to receive maybe the one piece of puzzle that will change your entire existence.
Yeah.
But because you know everything, it shuts down.
Right.
But if you walk around this world curious, like you're curious, like, oh, I'm willing to learn more. You're expanding. Everything's expanding right now. I'm like you said, I'm open. I'm open to receive the information that's needed. It's like this people that's sent to you from spirit that says, let me align you with this person because you made that agreement before you came here. Just don't remember it. Let me align you with this person right here, right now. And that one person is going to give you the one piece of puzzle, the one piece of information that will change everything for you.
Yeah.
But because you walk around, you know everything, what's the point? And I'll be honest, that's one of the greatest traps I see when I'm talking to people, as seeing if they're ready to expand on their journey. And they're like, oh no, I already gone through my spiritual awakening. I was like, how long? It's like, oh, it's been 5, 6 months. Like, you just started. It's like, no, that's not the end. It's like, well, how come I'm not getting this? How come I'm not doing this? How come this not happening? I said, you're still walking the journey. I said, this is what it is. So when I told you, when you introduced me, say a person still walking a journey, because I'm still expanding, I'm still learning, I'm still receiving as much as I possibly can,
Hmm.
whatever is coming to me at the time. But the moment you say, oh, I already know it, wait until you humble yourself again.
Right.
You said, stay humble and wait till if you don't humble yourself fast enough, the experience you're going to receive is going to humble you faster than you can. And the experience
Exactly.
is going to be worse than you taking the time to humble yourself.
Yeah.
So you said it beautifully, my guy. Yeah, you
Thank
did
you.
right.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's really interesting to reflect on that, to reflect on these little things, because when we're in it, sometimes we forget those stages. And I think that it's important to also recognize that there are stages, but the stages aren't stages per se, they're frequencies, right?
Yeah.
And there's a frequency to where where we're at. And
Yeah.
I've met people in different spiritual communities that'll be like, "Oh, I've put in so much work and I've done so much on myself." And I'm like, "Okay, but you're still going out looking for women to sleep with, and you're still, you know, getting blacked out drunk and all these things, which there's not necessarily anything wrong, but because maybe there's some contracts there, but also those things aren't serving your highest version.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
regardless of what quote unquote work you've done, if you're still putting yourself in those scenarios that are lowering your frequency, right? Like taking you out of that energy, no matter how strong your practice is, if you're still continuing, it's a form of self-sabotage, right?
Yes.
So if that person is still putting themselves into those scenarios, then you gotta see that that person needs to see that this is not helping them expand, right?
Yeah.
It isn't assisting them in their next stage, right? And like for some people it's just one thing, right? Like one thing they're doing that could just catapult them into the next level. For other people it's a few things, for other people it's a combination, or they'll go back and forth depending on you know, even the weather, right? Like on a
Yeah.
cloudy day, some people may turn to whatever their dopamine hits are, and that's okay, right? It's none of it's wrong. It's just that discipline and that refinement of like, I'm not just quitting something that's detrimental to my spiritual growth. I'm committing to something with creator, and I'm making a new contract of like, you know what, I'm done with this program, with this way that I've navigated, and I'm gonna replace it. The replacement is an important piece, I think, right? Like, what are you gonna replace it with? Let's say you get rid of alcohol. What are you gonna replace that with? It's like there's infinite things to replace it with that are healthy, right? And I have some friends that they have more of an addictive personality. Okay, if you're addicted, do something that is good to be addicted to, like the gym, or addicted to biking or tennis or whatever it is that you want to get addicted to that's really serving your vessel and your growth and your evolution.
Yes, I agree with you. So there's two things you touched on I want to touch on as well. You're right, replace it because energy is transmutation. You're just transmuting that energy. So if it's like, hey, you have alcohol, you have addiction, whatever it is, you have these distractions, whatever you're giving yourself, switch to something that's beneficial for you on your path because that energy, it doesn't just go away. We had to transmute that energy towards something else. So it's like, how do I go from here? If I know this isn't serving my highest self, this here is what can get me closer to becoming that version of myself here in my present state.
Yeah.
Let me get this energy from here and just put it over here. And it doesn't mean it's going to be perfect when you first start. It's going to suck. It's going to suck, but you just transfer it over. That's all you're going to do. Now, the other part of that is we talk about because we hear a lot. I'm doing all the inner work. I'm doing all the stuff. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. How come this isn't happening? That's more important than what we are doing is who we're being. So if you're a person that's saying, I'm doing the meditation, I'm doing the journaling, I'm doing the read, I'm doing the physical activity, but if you're now doing it to check off a box, who are you being at that point? Because you're not being a person who is saying, I'm in a line for this. You're being a person saying, I'm just checking the boxes. So you're not attempting to put yourself in alignment for who you are meant to be. You're now just doing it because you're saying, this is now the standard of my boxes. You're not doing it for the right reason. So anytime we're doing something, who are you being when you're doing it? Are you here in this podcast, who are being? It's like I pray that I'm being a blowing light right now.
Right, right.
That's my whole thing. Is like, who am I being? I'm being a person who wants to be a person who's just guiding people. The same thing you use. Like we're our purpose, or how I look at it is we're giving a message out to people so they can just tap in wherever they're at. So it's like, who are you choosing to be in everything that you're doing? If you beautiful thing you said earlier. You bless your food. You thank your fish when you're eating. It's like you're being a person of love in that moment. That energy you're pouring into. The same thing you said about my friend with her cannabis. She is being a person who's pouring love into her buds of getting that love transferred. Same thing we're talking about. So something that's not good for your higher self to something that's different. You're transmuting energy from your buds to over here. You're transmuting energy of thanks for the fish going to that everything that's going within your body. You're just transmuting it over, but not just what we're doing in every moment, who we're being. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you nailed it right there. I think you nailed it because the check boxes are just check boxes unless you really embody it and really take it into your day. And the real test is how we relate, right? And how we put it out to the world. How are we helping others? How are we being of service, right? And not from a place of like, I need to do this. This is another checkbox, right? Because the checkbox is I've met some people that meditate every morning, but as soon as they get out of the meditation, they're back to yelling and going back into those programs, right? And so what's the next step for that person, right? What do they need? That each individual is different, but I think that it's important to recognize that it defeats the purpose of the thing, whatever the thing is, if the thing isn't making us a little bit more aligned, more in our hearts, more loving and caring, more compassionate, because somebody could meditate and then come out and be like even more angry, right?
Yeah.
Because they were in their thoughts, right? And they were just sitting with that anger. And they were like, oh, I'm getting more angry, you know? And it's like, okay, now how do you want to transmute it, right? Like, how do you want to alchemize that? How do you want to shift that energy? And that's a really fine line for some people where they think they're doing these things, but really it's the next step, the integration, the embodiment, the real like essence. And those of us that can feel energy will know, right? Like we'll know when somebody's embodied or when they're just doing this, right? Like there's a lot of people out there that can talk a good spiritual talk. They can quote every Buddha quote. They can give you a lot of, you know, quotes from the Bible and they can tell you all these things, but they're not embodying it, right? They're not really they're coming from a place of like, okay, I'm going to say all these things so I can hook this person in to come work with me, to get more money, to get, whatever it is, right? And I think that it's important to really have that refinement. And
Yes.
that takes time. That takes time for the to make some mistakes sometimes, but really listen to that intuition, that voice that talks about that.
And it's a gift when you make those mistakes.
Yeah.
It's a gift because now you have the opportunity when you're talking about it. This is what I think is great when you put yourself around other people. Because if you're going in meditation, you're coming out of it and you're still feeling that pattern, oh, that's beautiful.
That puppy.
Is this the new one you're talking about?
We got another new one, but this is my little girl. For those listening, my dog just jumped on me, give me some love. But
That's good. Sometimes we need that. That's it.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so no, forgive me, I lost my train of thought now. So when we tap into, when we were talking about you saying people who could speak a good game, embodying it, and
Yeah,
then let's see. Oh, being around people. So when you come out of meditation, if you're still angry, the great part about that is you have people that in your corner can say, hey, something's there. It'll make you question what's going on inside. So the next time we talk about a compound interest, it's better than you were before. All it is, you're chipping away at small pieces at it. Doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, but you're chipping away small pieces each time. But if we are by ourselves, sometimes it's more challenging for us to see our stuff. So it takes longer, that delay that we talked about. But if you have a group of people that's with you on this path, they could show you and you could expand faster because now you say course correct faster. so you can move to that next threshold. So I agree with you, but you're absolutely right. Integration. It's like becoming who you are. It's not just talking game, not just practice what you, not just not practice what you preach, walking the walk.
Right.
It's like becoming yourself. Wear it. So it's becoming part of your identity, your subconscious, who you truly are. But it's
Right.
also a lot of times people think it's like you're just becoming as great as it's like, no, you're remembering who you are. That's the gift. We talked about it earlier. I think other than love, love is one of the most powerful energies out there. I think everyone can agree to that. Accountability, you talked about earlier. Accountability. Once you go into accountability, that's how you tap into your authenticity. Authenticity is one of the most powerful forms as well. Is that energy. So it's like the same thing you're talking about is like tapping back into those energies so you can remember who you truly are. And this is when you're actually being this person, not pretending and having to put on a show or a face. Because here on this call, when I leave here, guess what? This is still me.
Yeah. Yeah.
The social media stuff, it's still me.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you get to walk into this world as who you are, so you're spot on. It's not just checking the boxes, it's becoming this. It's the integration that the work you're doing. So anybody who's looking for that next thing, saying, I'm doing this and doing this, doing this, doing this, continue doing it until you realize that it's who you are. It's not just the stuff you're doing, who you're being. So yeah, you're throwing gems out here, my guy.
Thanks, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
you are too. You are too. We're going back and forth, just tossing the diamonds and gems back and forth. But
Yeah.
what you touched on was really important, and that's the blind spots that all of us carry, and
Yeah.
having a really real core group of friends or family or spiritual family that holds us accountable and doesn't let us like doesn't tiptoe around our bullshit. You know,
Yeah.
that's not like, hey man, you're doing this. Is that really in alignment for you? Right? Like, and then that person gets to choose, right? They get to choose. Do they want to break that cycle and take a deeper look at it, or do they want to continue? But I believe the friends that I surround myself with, I want them to call me forward. I want them to be like, hey man, right here, you could have showed up better. Right
Yeah.
here, there's a moment when you could have expressed that better. Maybe give it another try. Maybe give it another go.
Yeah.
And from that place, and I can see my blind spots and recalibrate and make that small adjustment for the next time. And sometimes it takes a few tries, but as long as there's that willingness to shift it, I believe no matter how old you are, no matter what you look like, no matter where you're from, there's always an ability to be a little bit more refined, and there's always the invitation to go into a higher timeline and into a higher frequency in this reality.
Oh my gosh. So we talked about it earlier because that humility is what allows you to break to that next threshold, that next expansion.
Hmm.
Because we already mentioned it earlier. It's without that humility. This is what we're talking about, the openness and closing. If you feel that you know it all already, why do you need to expand? You feel like you're perfect. If you feel like you know it all already, that means that you feel like you're perfect and you don't have room for expansion. So honestly, that's why I close it because obviously you don't have room for expansion.
Hmm.
But the moment you humble yourself, like you said a while ago, having that humility, the energy of that, my gosh, you're walking in this world like a child. You're
Hmm.
walking in this world that's absorbing so much. And it's like the great things is it's you see the beauty of the world because now you're like, oh my gosh, it's like you're seeing the world new. So that energy of humility brings you to that space of grounding yourself and be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Hmm.
It's like I'm
Right.
experiencing this all over again. And
Right.
like right now, I'm feeling the feels.
Yeah.
So I think it's a what you're talking about, that humility keeps that expansion for you to get to that next level. But the moment you tell yourself you know it all, the moment you because at that point you're telling yourself you're perfect. It's the refinements you're talking about. Having those people in your corner. And when having those people in your corner, you have the same people, new people come in and everything, but you have the same people because you will teach them how to relay the message to you. Because I was taught this way is like it's not the listener's job to know exactly what I'm saying. It's my job as a person speaking to you to relay it in such a way to you understand it. So
Right.
if you get around somebody that's not in your circle and they're telling you, hey, you're not doing this right, you're like, excuse me, I don't know who you are. You
Right.
get feel a little defensive. But if you have the people in your circle and like, hey, look, Peter, this is what you're doing. I just want to make sure you express it this way so you understand, like, hey, this is not what you said you're going to be doing last time. I'm going to tell you, you're doing this the same way. I think you might want to try this way. And
Right.
that person is going to know how to relay the message to you because now you have that circle of people that you trust, a circle of people who come and share it a certain way to you rather than somebody who's, if somebody's in that circle and they're just always attacking you, then it's like, that's not the best person to share your blind spot with you because
Yeah.
obviously they're misaligned and they're sharing something, but they're sharing from a perspective that may not be true.
Right.
We just want to be mindful of who we have in those circles and make sure we do. Like you talk about safe space. You talked about it earlier because when I shared with you, when I shared with that person, I felt like I was dying on the inside. Obviously, I didn't have a safe space because that led me to the contemplation and planning of my suicide.
Right.
So, having that safe space to where we're not feeling like we're attacked, to where we don't feel like we have to defend ourselves, to where we don't have to feel like it's constructive criticism. It's
Hmm.
a constructive expansion. Think of
Right.
it that way. So, yeah, no, you said it. I think you did that well. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, man. So how can people connect with you? Do you have a website? We'll drop all the links in the description, but is there anything that you want to share so people could connect with you right now?
Yeah, no, absolutely. If anyone just looking it up, you could use my name, Simeon Toria, first and last name. You can find it there. I have cleanse and heal within. I look at it as once we start cleansing what's going on, we get ourselves back into alignment. So we're healing within. He or she who does not go within shall go without. So if we're always looking outside of ourselves, doing all these little tasks and everything, let's start going back in with ourselves. But Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, it'll be Simeon Toria and cleanse and heal within.com, and we have I'll give you the actual one to we have our shift, and because the cleanse and heal within is our supplements, but then the other version of it, it's like the actual work, the integration work that we talked about throughout today. But I appreciate you 100% for having me here. I appreciate the energy you having, the light glow on you right now. So so no, but I truly appreciate you having me here, and thank you for allowing me to come here to your space. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, brother. It was a true honor to have you on, and I feel like this is the beginning of a great friendship, and I'm really excited. You're welcome back on anytime on the podcast. So, thank you again, and until next time, brother.
Yes, thank you so much.
Take
Appreciate
care.
it.
Much love.